Hi everyone, if you like this channel, please subscribe, it's free. So continuing now with more astrological information relevant to this upcoming election. In astrology, you always look for patterns. Patterns can be cycles. For example, in the transit cycle, Saturn returns to its original place every 30 years. Jupiter every 12. In individual charts, it'll do different things at different times for different people. All of it in circular motion, and all of it something that you can study and you can calibrate. In this video, I'm going to talk about something that is related to the USA chart, and it's the question of lunations. Lunations are found by looking at the days after birth. So this is something I always look at when I'm doing the chart of an individual, because a lunation, which is a new moon, it means in progression, the days after your birth, days translate to years, and whenever the sun and moon join, it's a new start, a new direction, something shifts, and a new way is embarked upon. And so, in the case of an individual, because lunations happen every 30 years and pretty precisely as well, you might see 3 in a lifetime. That's the maximum. Sometimes people only see 2. But in the case of a country like the US, 248 years old, now you're talking about 8 lunations since the foundation of the country. Now, in studying this issue, I have to say that the first 2 I'm not going to say much about. I need to look into the history a little more to be able to correlate with what was going on and say something meaningful. However, the next 6, beginning with the one that happened approximately 20 or so years before the Civil War, and then moving forward from there to the one after the Civil War in the Ulysses S. Grant administration, correlating with that. Then fast forward 30 years, we have the administration of Teddy Roosevelt in the early part of the 20th century. Fast forward 30 more, and we have FDR. 30 more after that, John F. Kennedy's administration, and Lyndon Johnson as well. And then the second to last one is Bill Clinton's administration in the mid-90s. And now, 2024, we're yet again on a new moon. The one, when you look at these new moons, the ones that correlate with obvious Democrat presidents, FDR, JFK, Bill Clinton, Democrats recognize those immediately. Teddy Roosevelt and Ulysses S. Grant were also progressive administrations, because in those days Republicans were acting more like Democrats, and so they would, for example, resist corrupt business practices and the kind of thing that now the current Republican Party will tend to defend, although today's Republican Party is actually even worse. But in any case, the point is that here we are, and following all these new moons, the pattern that you notice is that all new moons since the post-Civil War period, every 30 years, correspond with progressive administrations. Now we're here in 2024, new moon, you would expect that, in which case it's the administration we're already in. Now if you then say, well, yes, but new moon, new direction, wouldn't that mean that Biden-Harris switches to Donald Trump? That's highly unlikely, because Donald Trump, aside from being old in the conventional sense, he's also an old story, and he came in to the presidency on the waning part of the moon before the new moon was due to happen. That doesn't fit at all. It fits so much better to see Kamala Harris as the recipient of that, because she's actually something very new. Had it been Biden, it would be a little bit more difficult to argue the point. And where this is even more precise, or let's say more relevant, applies even better, is when you consider the degrees of the new moon, which happen to be in Pisces at around 19.5 degrees. These degrees, if you look at their role in Kamala's chart, great, perfectly placed, because it puts the degrees at the zenith part of the chart, which is at the very top, which is a person's highest achievement, highest social power, fits like a glove in terms of becoming president. In contrast, when you look at those exact same degrees in Trump's chart, they are in a very vulnerable place, in his 8th sign, squaring his sun and moon. Therefore, to my understanding, this is a clear-cut correlation from the US chart to the two charts of the two candidates, and in my opinion, tells us that Kamala Harris will be elected the 47th President of the United States.